in recent years, I've come to see that these are often the people who stand in the way of progress because they are committed only in a lukewarm manner. And every time you move to try to solve the problem, they will respond by saying, you're moving too fast, you ought to cool off, you should put on brakes. And they end up more devoted to order than to justice, and are more devoted to maintaining a sort of negative peace, which is merely the absence of tension, than gaining a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. And they can always say to you that you should wait for a more convenient season. And I've come to see that these are the people that often stand in the way because they get close enough to you to at least discuss your plans, and they become friendly enough to talk with you. You at least have dialogue with them, but they want to stand in the way of every move forward, and this has been my disappointment. I think at times it is better to have outright rejection and misunderstanding from people of ill will than to have lukewarm acceptance from people of goodwill. It is better to have absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will than to have partial understanding from people of goodwill. And this is what we're seeing every day in our struggle in the South, that many of the moderates of the white South and many of them mean well, and I shouldn't only say the South, but the moderates all over, stand in the way of progress because they refuse to understand the problem, and they live by the myth of time, failing to realize that time will not solve the problem. And there's a danger that the moderate will live by this myth, believing that if you just leave things alone and not push too much, time will solve the problem. And it has always been my contention that this is an invalid view because it goes out with the idea that that is something in the very nature and structure of time that will miraculously solve all problems. And time really is neutral. It can be used either constructively or destructively.
Welcome to another episode of RBN Lives. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Rome? What's up, Nick? What's up, JB?
What's poppin', my brothers and sisters? Powerful MOK. That's who we listen to. Isn't that right? What's up, JB? What's poppin', fam? We are back. The four horsemen of RBN. I don't know. Someone come up with a nickname. What's poppin', people?
Yeah, four horsemen and one queen, and the queen is off today. She's not actually off here, but working, so that's why she's not here. Right
MOK often spoke of the tranquilizing drug of incrementalism. Now we have quote unquote progressive left who only advocates for incrementalism, and they are there to dull the spirits and to whip and get in line the revolutionary faction of the left. And so when this hurt people's feelings every time we say it, every time I say it, I get like 100 burning people that block me immediately whenever I say this. But it's true. Like, Joe Biden is not the white moderate MLK was warning us about. He's the far right winger.
Right.
That we have to defeat. The Democratic Party is the organization that we must defeat. In what universe is Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden a moderate? The moderates are the progressives. The white moderate is Bernie Sanders, who told the black left to shut the fuck up about reparations.
Right.
Who told the Palestinians to shut the fuck up about BDS. These are the moderates that MLK and Malcolm X warned us about, and saying that hurts the feelings of the white left like none other. JB. CJ Rome. I don't want to be the only one running here. What's up?
Yeah, anybody other introductory words, JB or Rome, before we get started?
Yeah, I wanted to just say that, the part that, Dr. King was talking about as far as time, if you look at how the progression has been over the last about 30, 40 years. What happens when you just sit idly by and just let time go by without actually pushing for actual concrete things that we need as a people? Well, then it's to go back. It's kind of like standing on the shore of the beach. If you just stay still, then nothing. Then you're going to get pushed back. So there's no real true standing still. You either to move forward against the current, or you get pushed back nonetheless. So I think that's
Or the
something that was
tide,
really
or the tide to take your ass in and just drown you all together.
basically.
And that's what these people like. They standing on the shorelines, thinking that the tide's not going to get them, and the honey blue wave is going to be the one that's going to kill their asses. You know, and we see that what happens when the Democrats get in office, when they have these so-called blue waves. What happens after those blue waves? The police get more funding. FBI gets more money, and all of our opposition gets more money, and they get sickened into our neighborhood. So your blue wave does nothing but turn into a tide for the black and brown community every time. Before we got to move forward. If you can't, you know what I'm saying, push against that tide, then shit, learn how to surf. And this is what we are teaching the people. You know, we got to learn how to surf through these times. And while these powerful people are in the positions that they are in, we got to come up with strategies to get get them out of power. I don't know how to say that nicely.
You guys see this? Just doing a chat check here. I beat CJ to it. I saw this earlier. Another 4.5 billion to Ukraine today. This is something that we've been a top on RBN. We showed, I think, the proper raid. I don't know why people are not in the streets. Like, we've seen a lot of people protesting in France, protesting in Germany. A lot of people are resisting the NATO faction that is being blanked out by the BBC and the Western media. But it still shocks me to this day how much the American people just take. And then when we say general strike, people look at us like we're crazy. I'm like, what other option do we have? What other option do we have when our government is completely bought out by the military-industrial complex? Raytheon Bowen is making record profits, and Bernie Sanders is complicit with that. I know it hurts. I see some of these comments. I know it hurts. I'm mentioning him because he's the best among them all. Bernie is a grown man. He'd be okay. I am mentioning him. It's a strategy. I'm doing it on purpose, guys. So if I mention the sins of the best among us over and over again, will you guys give up hope? Will you guys give up this illusion of taking over the Democratic Party, seeing how the best among us sold out and gave him another 4.1 billion? I don't know for sure. I want to apologize if I'm wrong here, but I'm sure Bernie is in support of that. Correct? If he wasn't, I think we heard about it. So once again,
everything over here.
Raytheon and Boeing is making record profits right now, and the progressive movement is directly complicit with it, not indirectly. It's not like, oh, look at this link over here, you got to connect that over. No, direct. Their votes led to them making record profits. But Ro, I think you want to chime in, Ro?
Yeah, I was just agreeing with you. While everything over here goes up, you can't afford to put gas in your car to go to work, to go to work for these capitalists to starve. You can't even do that. It's just hard nowadays, and they just sending money off willy-nilly. A couple months ago, they told you we couldn't afford this, we couldn't afford that, but now we just printing money like it's nothing. And the progressive wing, I know you guys are gonna act dumb to reality. You're gonna act blind to the fact, but they are evil caucus. They are evil part of the wing, just like the corporate part of the wing. They take our money and they give it to Nazis. What else? Like, that's some evil shit.
And
what do you guys
all of
think?
what?
No, go ahead, CJ.
You sure? So I'd rather you go first. Yeah, you go first, and then I'll go.
This is from Bill Bradley. A general strike is not going to happen without some organizational infrastructure of some kind. 100% correct. That's why we should get started. That's always my response. When people say, "Oh my God, third party, we can't have a third party right now." Yeah, that's why we should get started. a mutual aid network would be almost impossible to create. Yeah, that's why we should get started. I don't buy this defeatism. Like we at RBN, we want to promote revolutionary optimism. Is there a chance we will lose and history book will write us as the losers? Yes, but what's the point in living life like that? Because someone explained to me the benefit of walking around saying, "Oh, general strike would never work. Third party." Is there a benefit to that? If there is, someone tell me. Until I find a benefit, I'm gonna continue to have revolutionary optimism.
Man, these niggas.
Think about it. Fidel Castro thought that way. What? Take over Cuba? Fuck that shit. That's too hard.
I only got 12 people on my side. Ain't nobody gonna listen to us. It's only 12 of us. And you know, that's what really inspired me to start the Care Party, because I only got a handful of people, but I am doing background checks and whatnot. We're not going to be running for political offices and none of that. You know,
I see what Bill was saying actually, because this is what he said earlier. He said, he said the Bolsheviks unionized blue-collar workers in order to build loyalty outside of electoral politics. Mm-hmm. Lenin pushed the rural poor to join the military, which was the basis of the Red Army. So I think what Bill's trying to say is that here's some examples of organizing and saying. I think he's in agreement with us saying.
Yeah, I wasn't like I wasn't trying to attack him. That was just my legitimate response whenever I hear that. I wasn't like going after Bill.
Bill's a regular. He's always here. Bill's always, or actually I haven't seen him in a while, but Bill's always here. You said you wanted to respond, Rome?
Yeah. The thing is, y'all are too weak to actually. If y'all are actually too weak to even call yourself a communist first, then you're too weak to actually organize the working class. When you come to me on the street, if you ever meet me on the streets and I didn't know anything about mega communism and I'm just a regular communist, I probably punch you because you're making a mockery of everything that we have built.
This guy when the MAGA communism stuff was going on, he sent many super chats. MAGA communism is not serious.
It's an oxymoron at the end of the
day. I don't take it serious whatsoever at all. Not interested in engaging with people who believe that. If you think MAGA, let me just say this. Yes, and if you think MAGA communism is a real thing, you might as well tell me the sky is yellow. I have like no ability to believe that you have any intellectual ability or capacity. If you think that that's legitimate, that's as clean as I can put it. Like that's so intellectual. Like I can't say how dumb that is.
It's going to eat their own movement. It's going to eat their own movement because they don't have an actual cause. And when you put something else in front of communism, that something else creates another road. So who are you aligning yourself with? Are you flipping these people's mindset to move for communism, or are you playing nice with them because they aren't as left as you? So you got to hide behind these other words to say, hey, I'm behind you, but you don't need to pamper. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to pamper your words. Just be there in action and people will believe you. It doesn't matter where I go. I call myself a communist. I don't put no MAGA in front of it because that shit is dumb for one. And I'm not a coward. I feel like you guys are not serious with communism. I feel like you guys are still somewhat into electoral politics. If not, you wouldn't even say the word MAGA. That's some electoral politics right there. And that's what shows me that you guys will not reach the streets. Will not reach the streets. And if you do, it's going to be to fulfill some type of agenda of having a stronger right wing.
I really see this as a co-op. I really does, because communism is the people, is the proletariat, and MAGA are the upper class, the petty bourgeoisie. So this is an attempt to marry the two as if class is irrelevant. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is literally not a real thing. When anybody brings this up anymore, I just repost my videos. It's so stupid. So let's move on from this.
So JB
comment, and then let's move on. Yeah, this is stupid.
Well, okay. So here's my thing. if you're truly trying to bring those people in, which if you want to, that's fine. Try to bring those people in. But then when you talk about uniting with people like me and my trans brothers and sisters who are also part of the proletariat, then how do you square that circle? You see, here's the thing about especially about those of us who are on the left, is we recognize that the people at the top, the oppressor class, they're the ones that pit people against each other. So when you're talking about uniting people, it's getting people to realize that the immigrants are not your enemy. The trans people are not your enemy. The gays are not your enemy. The blacks are not your enemy. In fact, it's all just a tool being used in order to pit people against each other. So then once you start to realize that, then you realize that it's actually the people at the top that's the enemy, not those of us who are suffering along with you. So there's no need to put that MAGA label there because they absolutely are against actually coming along with those of us a part of the proletariat that may love a little differently or may identify a little differently than you. So this is why there's really a stigmatism associated with MAGA that actually would turn some people who are like me away, because MAGA is completely different from communism. They are diametrically opposed because MAGA was a tool that was used and created by an oligarch in order to fool the people who actually have right-wing ideas. That's what it was. And so you're going to tie yourself to an oligarch so that you can preach communism. That doesn't make any sense. So just do communism and then just teach people about that. This
comment right here is why we should just call ourselves full-blown communists or socialists. Because if we are there for the truckers, if we are there for the workers, we're there for the railroad workers, we got hammer and sickles all over us. We're calling ourselves communists. What are they going to think? Okay, well, the right-wing party wasn't here for me. Not even the progressive wing wasn't here for me. A bunch of fucking communists showed up. Not no MAGA communists, not no this and that. No, some communists showed up, showed out, fed our people, helped us strike longer. We got on their fucking shows. Even the Kellogg's dude was a libertarian Republican.
Yeah. So,
but we still opened up our arms because we stand in solidarity to the workers, and we got multiple people on the show from Kellogg's and other unions that just didn't give a fuck about politics in the first place, but. This is why we should call ourselves communists, because if we don't, they will. And it's going to be, they're going to whitewash our message.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to say on this, just so we can move on. I had this conversation with Jackson. I asked him a few of these things, and I was not convinced. Right. So our job, we should be explaining to people why the interest of the ruling class is not our interest. We should be promoting class war. We should not be taking campaign slogans from capitalists and then applying it to our movement. We should be telling them that the MAGA and the MAGA politicians are full of shit, because they are. And what I see from their theory of change is they believe the workers are dumb. So they believe they use dumb catchphrases, and they believe they stoke the culture war. They can get the workers on their side instead of just talking about and appealing to their material and interests. It's actually very condescending to pretend that you have to represent one faction to fight this culture war to win these people over. Essentially saying people
fuck the MAGA, fuck them, man. If they're not satisfied with communists, fuck them. What they talking about, man?
You should have seen the Republicans talking shit.
Let me finish. Yeah. So if they are turned off, so this is what they will say. There's some people that promote MAGA comedy, because I'm trying to present their argument as well. I heard some people saying, this is the super chat that he mentioned as well, where he said it's not really about Trump. He said it's about reaching the right-wing working class. It's not about Trump. That is what this guy's saying. And I'm saying he may believe that. But you guys want to know what I have seen? What I have seen is the exact opposite. I've seen a lot of people who call themselves MAGA communists who do promote Trump, who do say Marjorie Taylor Greene is based. So if you're one of the people that want to organize with the working class, whether they're right wing or not, That is what we do all the time. We don't need a gimmick for it. That's called going outside and talking to people.
That's socialism. That's
literally
socialism, bro.
All the time. So what you guys are doing, you guys are playing a gimmick where you don't need it, and you guys are attaching your revolution, your movement to the two-party duopoly. And I've seen him, and this guy claims that it's not about Trump. But once again, I emphasize, I do see a lot of MAGA communists straight up boosting Trump. So you guys say that, but I'm seeing two different things, and that's just my perspective. But we need to move on because I want to be on it. We don't want to be on this too long. But go ahead.
No, just one thing as far as historical context. I recommend to read Black Shirts and Reds and then Dirty Jews by Michael Perenzi, because he actually points out that Hitler actually used the word socialist in the Nazi logo in order to appeal to make it seem like he was actually part of the proletariat when really he was factioning with the oligarchs and the people at the top. So we have to be very careful about using different labels to appeal to the right when it comes to things like this, because there's a historical basis for it as well.
I'm gonna say one more thing, man. MAGA communist, progressive Democrat.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion. I appreciate the super chat. Like, I don't hate you when we disagree, but I appreciate it as well. I feel like everything positive I heard about MAGA communism, you can just do. You know what I mean? So the positive of MAGA communism is, hey, we should talk to workers. We should ignore laborers and talk to workers. We already promoted that. Why MAGA communism isn't new. The only difference between what we do and MAGA communism is that MAGA communism whitewash and pretend that the cultural right is good when they are dividers of the workers. You guys understand that? But anyway, sorry. Go ahead, CJ. Let's
move on. Yeah. I mean, we can take his comment down. I don't mean to move on from the discussion, but it's no longer about that particular person that's sending the super chats. It's more about just us having the discussion about the broader topic, and this is what I have to say. Not necessarily about the person who put up, but my contribution to how the conversation has led to is this. Yeah. It's the same thing you say, Nick. We have to stop thinking that we need to convince partisans to have a general strike or do anything. The partisans are the minority. The partisans are the minority. The majority of people don't vote. Yeah, the majority of people don't vote. We're going after the homeless. We're going after the unhoused people. We're going after the poor people who don't have a reason to vote. We're going after the people in prison that don't have a reason, that can't vote. Those are the people. These lily bourgeoisie people who want to use this MAGA communism, those are literally people that's not going to be in the streets. Those are literally those people. So those people are irrelevant. We have to stop letting them be sidetracked. It's like sidetracking us. But I do like what we did by bringing this about a conversation, using that dumbass comment. And the reason I'm using it because I dealt with this person before you guys did. Okay. This might be your first time. Okay. I dealt with this person before on this topic and explained to him how it's stupid. And now I begin to think that this person is now just here to like throw us off.
I think that's what I think this
person is here because it is literally anti-intellectual. It is literally the attempt to recuperate communism. You strip ideology and you make it something else. That is literally the definition of recuperation. And that's the attempt that is trying to be made by the phrasing of MAGA communism. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense. And to me, engaging in it at this point, because Nick and we did the interview. Like, this is stupid. This is really
they
stupid.
keep dragging it on.
They
keep dragging it on. Move on. They keep dragging it on.
Rome, you were gonna say something.
I remember them real MAGAs was like, you remember that it was a couple months ago when they first got started and whatnot. Man, people that voted for Trump was like, what the fuck? Oh, fuck communists. Like, what the hell we calling Nancy Pelosi a communist. They calling Nancy Pelosi a communist. Dude,
it's such a joke.
You know what? I live in Detroit. A motherfucker ain't about to tell me about no factories. I go to the factories. I explain about the hammer and sickle. Once you go to the factories, once you go to the farm, and they ask you, why you got a hammer and sickle? Are you a Russia? I say, blah, and like, no, this is for This for the factory workers, this for the farmers, and the stars for the blacks. And you go and teach them about communism. You don't meet them on the grounds. You pull them or push them to the left. It doesn't like this. Communism isn't some game that we can just play with. It isn't some name that we can just toss up and put it in front of this and put it in front of that. This is a way of life. This is a way of living. This is a way of teaching. This is the way of dying. And this is not a game. So stop playing with our name, please.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's the attempt to just take away the understanding and meaning of communism. And it's sort of died out. I don't see it really coming back. But what I did want to show you, and I think I'll show you later, is Michael Parenti's talking about how this is really just the attempt of I forget the phrase that he used, but it's like it's a fascist attempt to take over populist speak, take over revolutionary speak, to appear like you're having a revolution. It's called a false revolution. That's what it is. You appear like you're having a revolution when in actuality you're not. You're just securing the same thing that's already happening. I have it right here. Actually, let me show you. I finally found it. So let me show you. This is Michael Parenti. Where's it at? Right here. Yeah. And let me stop sharing this. It's a good thing to use when people bring this MAGA communism up. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, I see. I'm right here. This rights of self-determination. Let's not even get into that, because this is when I was trying to argue the point, but no longer am I doing that. So here's
I literally can't do more MAGA communism. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not doing that no more, because it's so.
we literally had Jackson on, guys. It's over. Like that's where the frustration comes from, guys. I know you're nice, but it's over. Move on. Stop bringing the shit up. You leaving super chats about MAGA communism all the time. Move on. Like, we literally had Jackson on, had a conversation about. We discussed it multiple times. I'm literally burnt out, and I literally never want to hear the term again. That's why I'm at.
Let's let this be the last word on it. Yeah. Michael Parenti. Let's let Michael Parenti have the last word, and then we'll get back on track. Because this is not outside of the main topic. That's kind of like why we're still on this, because the main topic is revolution, and this is a conversation about how to build coalitions. So it's not outside the topic, but let's listen to Michael Parenti talk about fascism, the false revolution. Oops. Is he gonna play? We're just playing. Let me try again, fellas. Let me refresh it. All right. Let me refresh it here. Oh, my daughters are home. I forgot about that. My daughters are home gaming. So let me refresh it, and then I'll play it. It's very short. It's under, 2.5 minutes. And let's see here. Okay, here we go.
Both the Italian fascists and the Nazis made a conscious effort at imitating the left. Youth organizations, mass mobilizations, rallies, parades, banners, symbols, slogans, uniforms. Fascism, in fact, is a false revolution. It makes a revolutionary appeal without making an actual revolution. It propagates the widely proclaimed new order while serving the same old moneyed interests.
In Black Shirts and Reds, Parenti points out that fascists have always co-opted popular leftist messaging and aesthetics to present themselves as heroes of the people. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. MAGA communism and American patriot socialism are just feeble attempts to hide a brown shirt beneath a red cape, following in the footsteps of the great monsters of history.
Now, like with a lot of terms like liberalism, democracy, socialism, communism, no single definition of fascism maybe will satisfy everybody. And with fascism, there's a really special problem because it's a beguiling mix of revolutionary-sounding mass appeals and reactionary class politics. And the reactionary class politics are the part of fascism that our establishment historians almost never talk about. Hitler's party, for instance, was called the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the NSDAP, or Nazis. It's a very left-sounding name, National Socialist German Workers, and it was designed to win broad support among working people, even while the Nazis were destroying working-class organizations. In other words, fascism, the original Italian and German variations of fascism, was a political phenomenon that made a revolutionary appeal without making a revolution. It promised to solve the ills of the many while in fact protecting the special interests of the few with violence and terror. And it propagated a new political consciousness, a new order, a new nation to serve the same old capitalist system.
And we'll let Michael Parenti have the last word. JB, Rome, anything to say about Michael Parenti's words?
No, he basically saying the same shit. It's a shame that we're going through the same shit, and he just described our life and the fights that we're going through today. And, but you know, what can you expect in this country? Like, it's going to be co-ops everywhere, and this is why a lot of people start backing down from the Care Party. Because I said I'm doing full background checks. I want your Twitter, I want your Instagram, because people are going to be like, oh no. You're going to find out the truth. Yeah. I'm not really a fucking communist.
Yeah.
Right. Because these people like, what is your goal, man? If these people hate the word communism, then how can you pull them into communism in the first place if you can't even get them to agree with communism in the first place? You gotta just go with it. You gotta just go with it. Whether you win or lose, you're not gonna get everybody.
Well, I mean, Rome, and you do this so well, but you're doing what the government should be doing at a personal level. And what you're doing is also what people like, part of the Black Liberation Army, as well as the Black Panthers were doing. This is why they were such a threat, because you're actually showing what could be if we actually have an economy that actually is centered around people, around community. And so that's what communism really is. And so with that being said, it comes to a point where, you start to talk to people. Like, for instance, a couple days ago, I was talking to a driver on the way to dialysis. And I explained to her that I feel like people like her and her fellow co-workers should actually own the company and have a democratic say over how that company operates. I just described to her what I think socialism is. And I did not mention the word socialism or communism at all. And she wholeheartedly agreed with everything I said. And so then next time I can explain that to her, and she'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, you know what that's called? Be like, what? That's actually called socialism. then the floodgates start. I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? This is what they're. And then you start talking about the billionaires, and you start talking about the oligarchs, and how, and we Black people, we can talk about that stuff all day long about how, the stuff they do. So then that opens doors in your mind. And so I think it can still be done. It just doesn't have to have that moniker on it. You know what I mean? That title on it. So
what they say, the alternate route is sometimes a long way, some shit like that. But just because they say it's a shortcut, don't mean it is. It can be way more dangerous than the regular road of communism.
Shorten distance doesn't mean the same thing shorten time. I get it, guys. Let's in traffic in LA, I'm telling you, like, it could be a half a mile. That shit could take an hour, especially when you get by Westwood, UCLA. But let's move on. Let's get back into what we planned for the show. Not that was completely off topic, but that was just our introduction. We serve some great introductions here on RBN, like literally that can be a whole episode there. I'm looking at 450 comments. I haven't hit the comments since we opened, so I see a bunch of comments. But first things first, we already hit 26,000, gentlemen. I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
Like 150 a day. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. So we hit overnight, I think. At least the last time I checked. So I checked yesterday in the evening, and then I checked today. So this is where we're at, 26,000. 260. Thank you for those
Somebody play
sharing
that
and
louder.
liking. Thank you for those sharing and liking that got us to this number. Our target is 30,000. The hashtag is RBN to 30K. So keep liking, keep sharing. And that brings us to the next part, which is like the stream. We got over 300 people watching. We got 170 likes. Can we push that to 250 likes? Let's get some more people in here. Before we get into the main topics, 250 likes, and then also subscribe to our Substack. It's scrolling right there at the bottom. If you are watching on replay, subscribe to our Substack, and we will send you notifications when we go live. So let's throw up some comments. Actually, let's do a chat check. Let's let everybody. If you see some comments, fellas, let's just toss them up there. Let's not try to get into any deep conversation, but let's just throw some comments up. Thank you, Sam. I'll read them. The 4 goat men. I like that.
Hey, that's some real shit because, hey man, I feel like RBN is, if we can find like 2 more people that's doing more than us, then man, we'd be like, we set right now, but I think we need some more women.
Yeah.
Honestly,
no, I feel you on that. I feel you on that.
Yeah, but I think if we can find some people that's really out there, man, we look at us right now. Like, man, Nick taking over the motherfucking internets, and me and CJ in the streets. JB is out there teaching and standing up for the disabled. Like, I never seen so many people that was disabled getting so much recognition on YouTube from any YouTuber. They come through when they see them get a viral video on TikTok. Or
how many channels did multiple disability panels? We did multiple, not one, multiple. How many channels are doing that? But go ahead, Rome.
Man, I'm just saying, RBN is a force to be reckoned with. And then, like, even with not even just with the library that's coming up. Man, we got all kind of shit that's coming up. We have chapters that's going to be coming up. We probably can turn those into libraries all around. You never know. All we need is y'all love and y'all support. But thank y'all for getting us here because, just because we do that don't mean that we did it on our own, because I wouldn't be here without the people that, basically loaned me the money at first to even spread the propaganda to get me where I'm at today. So thank y'all.
Well said. So any other comments? And there was a comment that I read yesterday. Why does CJ always have RBN on the back? Because I'm trying to promote everybody to go watch our summit. So I need to start referencing that to start always, because I used to do it in the beginning, be like, yeah, we got the summits on in the back, but make sure you're watching one of our summits. That's one of our panels. This is that's Joe Sana. That's Jay. Oh, this is one of. Oh, right there. That's what you're talking about. The disability right.
Oh no, I'm way too high to read what's in the back of you, nigga.
Oh, so you just that was just a coincidence. That's literally the disability panel right there.
Man.
Disability rights right there.
Rome got some superpower that he not aware of. Like,
I look back, I'm like, wait, that's me, that's JB, and I'm like, that's Michelle. Wait, that's the disability rights panel right there. Wow.
What really drives me is the hate for imperialism, the hate for capitalism. Like, I want to be like, I don't know how it's going to start, but I want to see the revolution start in our lifetime. I don't care.
You say this all the time. I told you guys, I'm the most biased commentator you guys will find. Yeah. RBN, we were doing propaganda for the working class. For the there it is. There are bias. I unapologetically advocate for my community, the Black community, and the working class, and for the liberation of victims of colonialism. That's the perspective you get on RBN. It's out there. And I think that's how independent media thrive. The corporate media think they're slick. Like, you watch Morning Joe. Morning Joe is the most biased show ever, the most propaganda show ever. But they present their show as if they're being neutral. Fuck out of here, you liars.
Ain't nobody neutral, because this shit depends on our lives. Like, whether we go up or down or right. If they was to just bail out all of these poor people, and give everybody housing and shit like that, that would affect all of these Morning Joes, MSNBC, they're gonna lose a lot of money in real estate. They're gonna lose a lot of money in keeping us down.
Sorry, Ron, but I see like Democrats every once in a while. They're like, well, you guys already criticize Democrats. Why don't you guys show the good that Democrats do? Not in our interest.
When they show us, when they do something good, then we'll show it.
It's not in our interest.
Like, they're gonna make us look bad. As soon as we do it, they're gonna sweep up the crumbs.
They think that good, the good that they describe good, they don't understand. We don't see that as good. Like we don't.
Like, all those things are not helping me and my family, so I don't cover them. It's that simple.
Bro, look how they just doing student loans. They just swept. Everybody just cheering for crumbs that they just do it on. They swept off of the table, and then they say, "Oh, they made to sweep that shit right the fuck up." As soon as the elections the midterms had ended, dog, we're not doing that. Y'all gonna make us look bad. We
predict it every time too. It's like when the student loan thing is like, bro, you already know they set up for the courts to fail. We was right on that when they overturned the eviction moratorium and the NATO left, the boutique left. You remember how excited they was to get Biden props? They couldn't wait.
Yeah,
they loved to do it. We was like, yo, this is not going to be a long-term solution.
Let me explain. It's called guilty conscious. It's called guilty conscious cheerleading, and I did a stream on this. It's because the reason they're so ready is because they have a guilty conscience for voting for him and all the bad things he did. So when he does anything good, they go, "Oh, let's go say something." It's to make them feel like, man, like, CJ, look, how many times I know I told you to do this. Now I have something good to say. Go ahead.
How many times thus far has they come back with a pie on their face? They say, "Oh my God, Biden has done this amazing thing," and then it backfires, and then they pretend that never happened. Like, for example,
they never do a follow up.
They never do a
JB. It looked like you were gonna say something. Go ahead.
It was the courts, Nick. It was the courts. It was the courts. La 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 la.
There's no way anyone could have predicted this, guy. Do you guys have some sort of secret insider knowledge?
But here's the thing, though. I mean, congratulating or glad handing when the Democrats do something good, that's the equivalent of us sitting back and looking at the whole Pete Buttigieg campaign dance when they're like, and they're like this, and we're like, "Oh, that's really good." What? Are you kidding me right now? Like, no, that's not good. And so we're not going to sit here and try to pull out some relishes of good. Like, are we going to sit there and glad hand the Democrats when they kneel in kensei cloth? We're not going to do it through action, so we're also not going to do it.
Oh, my bad. I meant to take that out. I meant to stop sharing that.
You want to know a thought I just had because you guys listen to this, and I think this is important to bring up. This is a new thought I just had. So the people that they say, "Oh, we're non-biased news. We're gonna tell how it is. We don't call balls and strikes." So if we say one bad thing about Democrats, we're gonna say one good thing about Democrats. Those people actually do a net negative for society. So it's not a 50-50 give pull. That's what a lot of people do. Oh, we say one good thing about the Democrats, we say one bad thing about them, vice versa. No, it is not 50-50. It's like 95-5. Like the small stuff they do, like that embarrassing infrastructure bill that you see progressives praise. They say, "Oh my God, Biden passed a historic infrastructure bill." You mean governing? Nigga, are we patting them on the back for doing their fucking job? Infrastructure bills pass all the time in Europe and in China. Nigga, that is what they do. They do their job one time and they like, "Oh my God, this is why we should vote Democrat," because they're doing their job. Who gives a fuck? That one infrastructure bill is not worth the harm and damage that they do by funding the police more and funding the military industrial complex more. So when you do that thing, we say, "I'm gonna call it balls and stripes," you actually misrepresenting the net good versus the net negative. But go ahead, CJ. I think I made my point. Go ahead.
He said, "You mean governing?"
Yeah.
Let's talk about the topic.
Like, how long has it been since we had an infrastructure bill? They passed an infrastructure bill for the first time. Nancy Pelosi, who's been in government her entire life, like, "Yes, I finally did it after 20 years." How are we giving her credit for that? How does that make
after
sense?
20 years and $100 million?
An infrastructure bill every fucking week. Based on y'all standards, based on the standards that y'all doing, these motherfuckers, hey, CJ, they will say, "Oh, we built a library." That's what I did. We built a library. I'm an accomplice. Like, nigga, they build shit all the time over there. We build shit one time in America, and a politician will have to hold down on their resume for the rest of their career. Get the fuck out of here. Go ahead, CJ.
Let's talk about the topic. So this is the main graphic, and the reason for all the different people is just to show, look what we're up against. We're up against people outside of politics that's propagandizing people. That's Hillary and Mr. Obama in the middle. We have Obama that's squashing movements. We have Austin right here. That's the defense secretary that's over all the wars. We have them persecuting Julian Assange and press freedoms. We have them over here on the far right funding proxy wars. You got Joe laughing because he's demented. You got Bill Gates out here trying to killing people involved in everything. That's the oligarch. He represents the oligarch. And then you have China with the pink tie looking cool, calm, and collected as they're now moving toward a multipolar world. And then you have Bernie Sanders in the middle, just pretty much being a bullshit artist and have the audacity now to write a book about revolution. So the topics today are Bernie Sanders and the American left is so weak, a general strike is our only option. Then we're going to talk about the rail worker strike, the anti-worker bipartisanship will force them to go back to work through legislation. Garland Nixon was suspended on Twitter for something he said to or about Anthony Blinken. LGBTQIA community is under attack, so we need to talk about what's going on with our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQIA community. Black folks and medical debt. Nick has that story. Also, if we have time, we have France says Russia is misinforming Africa. And then another story, Dr. Fauci's last day was probably today. He's going to have to get prepared for the investigations that's going to be coming up next year. He will definitely be back.
Dr. Fauci, more like Dr. Ouchie. Am I right?
Can I leave my story? Because my story quick. With that,
whatever you want to do, go ahead.
Yeah, my story quick, so I want to leave with it because it's also funny. remember the when we had Margaret Kimberly on? If you guys did not watch that episode already, make sure you check it out. Margaret, one my favorite guest to talk to. She brings a lot of knowledge, and I brought up how in Canada they had China, Russia Gate over there, where you had Justin Trudeau that without any evidence said that China was interfering in the elections in Canada. And then it just came out 2 days ago where he said, oh, I actually wasn't briefed about that. So is the media going to ask a follow-up question to that? No. So what's the follow-up question to that? So if he wasn't briefed on this, sir, do you just make it up? No, they didn't ask that follow-up.
That's dangerous. That is
he did the same thing with Iran. He did the same thing with Iran.
JB, do you see my coverage of that? Do you see it? Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Hey, I'll pull it up just in case you guys didn't see it. This is kind of really the reason I'm pulling this is because this is like part 2 almost of that story of the West panicking and using Russiagate because they know their time as a dominant hegemonic force is over. Like this is Justin Trudeau says he was not briefed on federal candidates allegedly receiving funds from China. I told you guys I've been monitoring corporate media for you guys, so I can tell you what they've been saying. If you guys have not been following, I know you guys have in this holiday season. For the last few days, the media had to took Justin Trudeau and what he said at face value. There was new outlets in Fox News. You guys saw the story where they said they got secret Chinese police everywhere. They ran with this too. Chinese interfering in Canada elections. They was running for this for days because Trudeau originally said this like the first week on November. And his correction came out November 20th. Where Trudeau he finally admit, I do not have any information, nor have I been briefed on any federal candidates receiving any money from China. So why am I bringing this up? This is not the story I'm leaning with. This is another follow-up from that. We just covered this yesterday. Okay. We have been one of the only channels that have been bringing up the fact that Africa, despite what the corporate media is saying, how the world is united against Putin, no, they're not. It's 30% of the population at best. Like you have Africa not going along, South America not going along, Southeast Asia not going along, and now this is the follow-up to that story. How is the West coping with this? Just like the West is saying that the dumb Africans were tricked by the Chinese, they were tricked into allowing them to build stuff for them. Now they're saying the dumb Africans are being tricked by the Russians. Isn't it funny that the dumb Africans can't seem to think for themselves, according to the liberals? That's Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron said that the reason why Africa is not joining their side, they're on their path of mutual destruction in order to expand NATO. The only reason they do it, not because all the countries that are part of NATO have former colonial history with Africa. No, that had nothing to do with it. It had nothing to do with the colonial past of France and the brutal slave trade they was a part of, and the occupation they currently involved in Africa. Oh, it had nothing to do with it. It just, they are brainwashed by Russian propaganda. Do you guys see how the West is everything that they accuse China and Russia to be? CJ, you're muted, but I'll pass it to you.
Is this because Africa, just to be clear with our audience, this is because there's a lot of African nations that usually vote with or support or back, like publicly back what America's doing. That's not happening with the proxy with China, with Russia right now. Is that what you're saying, Nick?
Yeah, look
at
this,
what the reporting is.
Yeah, I'm pulling up an article I reported on quite some time. I think it's good to put this up in relation to this story. So if you have not been following with us, you understand what's going on. Look at this. In Africa, hey Yahoo, what are we doing here? Let me go back. Y'all, there it is. In Africa, Blinken sees limits of U.S. influence abroad.
Thank God.
And you had Putin, who made a very similar trip around the globe, and now you're seeing a ton of nations asking to sign up for BRICS. You're seeing African leaders being convinced by Putin's argument. So remember what we said on this show on how our corporate media, they purposely don't show Vladimir Putin talking because he actually make a very convincing case, whether you like him or not. Mm-hmm. He makes a convincing case against NATO and the West, period. So even though the corporate media doesn't show the Americans his argument, do you think Africa's not seeing it? What do you think happens when Putin goes to Africa and he reminds them of the colonial crimes? He does this. If you don't listen to Putin talk, he does this all the time. He's like, oh, funny, you guys condemning us. You guys see how many policemen kill black people in your country? Putin is far from a leftist, but when he talk about the United States, he sounds like a leftist. This motherfucker be like, how are you going to criticize Russia when you guys can't even have abortion? You guys get assaulted and killed by the police in your country. Look at what you guys doing in Guantanamo. You guys are torturing people in Guantanamo Bay, but you guys want to lecture us. So he goes to African countries. He reminds them of AFRICOM. He reminds them of what the United States have done to their people and what they are looking to achieve. So no matter how you feel about them liberals, the NATO left who have Putin the random syndrome, he goes to Africa and he exposes your society, and Africa has had enough. So I'll read just the first two paragraphs. I don't want to get too much into it. I'll cover this quite a bit.
Africa know that they will be used as a lot of countries in Africa know that they will be used. You know what I'm saying, for proxy wars against Russia, if needed be, from the West. So they like, yeah, fuck that. We see what y'all did to Ukraine. You ain't doing that here. No more. A lot of people standing up because they ain't got the power that they had back then.
CJ, JB, anything else you want to add? Because once again, that's my story was short. Anything you want to add to that before we move on?
It's kind of like the Africans are like, what kind of foods do you take us for?
Let's watch the video.
It's just like you think it's like that whole thing about thinking that black people and Africans are dumb that actually led to their downfall. So now they think, oh, we're dumb, when we're actually looking at the actual reading the tea leaves, and we're just like, and Africans are just like, yeah, no, we're not gonna team up with the West. We're actually gonna stay over here on the East side. Yeah, I think we're good. And so now the West is like, what? What do you mean? And it's like, well, how many times have you guys done bad things to us? Oh, let me count the ways. And then you start pointing to all the different countries, just like Yakko Warner did and the Animaniacs. And then you're pointing to all of them. You remember that, don't you, Rome?
Remember?
And then
go ahead,
see that because you remember. But yeah, you start to remember all that. Every single country y'all tried to take over. And look, almost the entire African continent. why in the hell would we actually team up with y'all? Yeah, we're gonna go with China and Russia on this one. So deuces, and that's basically what it is.
Do you guys remember this? I'm gonna show you guys this, and we can add this to the story because the Russian disinformation angle is something that the mainstream media in the West pull all the time. You have this. This was before it was known that the Republicans choked the midterms away. So when everyone was thinking that the Democratic Party was going to get absolutely destroyed in the midterms, you have stories like these popping up. Russian disinformation campaigns again targeting the midterms. And then the Democrats avoided the red wave. They did better than expected. Now, you don't hear anything about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
Did
funny?
Russia help the Democrats win this time? Did they interfere enough?
And a lot of people forget, in 2020, they said the same thing. In 2020, they were saying there are signs that Russia is trying to interfere in the election. Then Biden won, then no one talks about it again. Now 2020, the most pristine election of all time.
But I thought they already, all of these firewalls that they put up against Russia when the war first kicked off, all of this shit that they did to stop us from talking to other people in different countries, you can't stop them from rigging your elections. What the hell is going on with your power? I mean, why is you using it for one thing and not all of it? But whatever. I don't believe this shit.
Last thing I want to share, and then I'll really end this segment because it ties to the Russian disinformation psyop that even Bernie Sanders pushed. Bernie Sanders Russiagated himself. He still pushes this. When asked about the Ukraine aid, he was like, "Who paid you?" The guy who Russiagated himself and now Russiagating anti-war activists. Now, this is another example of how they use Russian disinformation as a way to shield the establishment. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait to see how this story ends, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to see because now they're gonna have investigations into Hunter Biden laptop, which has been proven to be real. This is the New York Post. This is here's CBS. Because CBS confirmed this, and many people reported on this already, that the Hunter Biden laptop is real. But despite that, corporate media was running stuff like this from Politico, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. That's what they said during the election. And now this is New York Post, because now they bragging because they broke the story. CBS confirms Hunter Biden laptop story is real 769 days after the Post broke the story.
Nick, remember a couple of days ago when CBS was like, "We're leaving Twitter," and they left, and then next thing you know, they come back and like, "Yeah, we're back."
So imagine how bad liberal media is. This is how me and CJ, we talk about this all the time, how liberalism enables the far right. They give the far right victories because they will know the New York Post is a conservative outlet. But you got liberal media is so bad, they give the New York Post an opportunity to do a legitimate victory lap because it was entirely coordinated by the corporate media. Twitter literally banned mentioning this. Like if you mention Twitter, the story, they censored that. People had their YouTube channels pulled over this because intelligence officials, look at this, more than 50 former intelligence officials signed a letter casting doubt on the story. So are we going to get the names of these people? Are these people going to be discredited for the rest of their career?
No.
Hey, can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll wrap my story up. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah. No. This actually is in conjunction with your story. This is the real disinformation that actually happened that nobody ever wants to talk about. The fact that the United States government actually interfered in a Russian election in order to get Boris Yeltsin to win. See, nobody wants to talk about this, right? They never want to talk about how the United States actually interferes in elections. But the thing is that pot called kettle, right? Isn't it interesting how we, they'll always talk about, these countries interfere in our elections, but they never, ever, even want to talk about how the United States interferes in the elections of other governments, or even kills and murders and assassinates their own duly elected officials in order to put in a puppet. But yet, every single time the United States cries disinformation from Russia, that is pure projection, because the United States has been doing it for decades. So
look at Israel.
They told on themselves when they put out this article from Time Magazine. Time Magazine, really? So guess what? They got caught with their pants down.
And if you're a dumb liberal and you're one of the people that like, I really don't want foreign governments to get interfere in our pristine elections. if you're not a bad faith actor, but you didn't like Russiagate because you were concerned about that, maybe you should look at AIPAC and Israel. Everything that you guys accuse of Russia, AIPAC is doing straight out in the open. AIPAC is straight out in the open fundraising against the left-leaning Democrat in any race. They back the moderate right-wing Democrat in every race.
Yep.
Every race. But Bernie focused on Russiagating himself. Bernie Russiagating himself while AIPAC is defending every single progressive. But go ahead, JB.
No, and then they want to talk about, but the women and the gays, we gotta save the gays. Yet you guys are giving all of this money and weapons to Saudi Arabia to murder and bomb little kids in Yemen. And then on top of that, they want to kill those of us people who are just like me in Saudi Arabia. And yet we have a friendly relationship with them? Are you kidding me right now? So, yeah, the United States really needs to get off their high horse, because the thing is that they're the ones that are actually in the mud when it comes to slinging mud. They're the dirtiest ones of all.
Thanks for the super chat, Rodrigo. When RBN passes Vanguard and stuff, we need to turn up. It's not common. I still don't have anything against the Vanguard. I said what I had to say regarding the other topic, so I don't hold any grudge. That's just me personally. We all got different opinions. I don't hold any grudge against them. I said what I said. We had disagreements, but that's it.
I'm turning it.
So
anyway, go ahead.
So let's move to the next topic. I think let's do a couple quick ones. Let's do the Garland, since it's just basically a Twitter thing that happened, and then maybe Fauci, because it's very short, a short video.
I told y'all. Sorry, I never read this segment, but I told y'all to all the not for our audience. I'm speaking rhetorically here because I know you guys are smart in this. But there were so many free speech absolutists that was like, Elon Musk is here to save us. The billionaire who takes money from the military-industrial complex is going to save free speech.
I need Elon! Oh, Master Elon!
But before we go
I didn't
into
cut you
this,
off, I had to start the segment that way. Anyone who thought this guy who's a shield of the military-industrial complex, who take contact of the military-industrial complex, is going to shield anti-war voices. I said this months ago, but sorry, CJ, we can formally start the segment. I decided to.
No. Let's hold on before we started. If you are watching, you're brand new, join our Substack. Is scrolling at the bottom. We're about to get into the next story, which is Garland Nixon suspended on Twitter. But before we do that, can we look through the comments? Any last comments on the previous topic that we want to toss up there before we go up here?
I just tossed this comment up. It's on this one, but it's relevant. Ryan said Garland was talking about how he's probably going to get banned last night on the stream. So he know he was wilding, but that doesn't mean Twitter should ban him though. He knew he was wilding.
Right.
He knew he was wilding. I do too. Like you guys know on Twitter, bro. I be talking hella shit sometimes. I know I do. But go ahead, CJ.
And any other good comments from the last segment, the previous segment? Any other comments you want to toss up before we get into the next topic? There goes one.
Curie Adams says Yeltsin is the reason Ukraine was able to annex Crimea in the 1990s. That's right. Crimea was its own country after the dissolution of the USSR.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That was a good comment. Any other good comments? Previous story? If not, I can move on. There goes another one. So Bill Bradley. Go ahead.
The elites use good intentions of people to justify foreign wars based on selectively applied human rights atrocity allegations.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great point.
That's a great point. Thank you. And let me see. Kerry Adams also says Crimeans by large margin want to be part of Russia, not Ukraine. Fact. Mm-hmm.
Our audience knows pretty based audience we have.
Oh yeah. Trump showed the receipts on mainstream with selling arms to Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Trump. I remember that. Hey, CJ, Rome, you remember that, right? When he was sitting in the, I think it was in the Oval Office, and all the cameras were around, and he was lifting up the pictures of the weapons that he's selling to Saudi Arabia. You have Mohammed bin Salman just sitting right there with a big old goofy ass smile on his face, right? And Trump's just like, yeah, we're selling them weapons. We have the weapons ready. It's a great deal. We're giving it to Saudi Arabia. It's Saudi Arabia, great friends of ours. And then, next thing you know, people are like, oh my God, they're selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, you got the same thing happening with Joe Biden selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, and nobody wants to say shit. It's like, what? It's as if Biden is just Trump in orange face. Sorry, go ahead.
Or Trump is Biden with orange face. It could be that. Could be that way around too. All right, so let's like the stream, everybody. Before we're about to start the next segment, Garland Nixon suspended on Twitter. Like this stream. We're currently sitting at 275 likes. 25 more, we can get to 300. We might as well just push to 300. We have well enough people to do that. 360 people watching. Let's push to 300 likes. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to push to 30,000. Also, I didn't bring this up. We'll talk about it later, but we're also running a fundraiser, labor and equipment fundraiser. We need equipment to be better citizen journalists. There's a lot of stuff going out in California. If I had the equipment, I could actually be out there. There's the UC strike that's going on. Also help us get adequate staffing. We gravely need an editor to get the content out. We also need some other staffing. There's where you can send donations. We'll cover that a little bit later. But let's get back into the content. Into the next story, which is Garland Nixon. And this is friend of the show and journalist Dan Cohen. This is his tweet. Journalist Garland Nixon was permanently, I didn't know it was permanently until I saw this tweet. I thought it was just they like, you can't even apply it. So permanently suspended for joking about the brutal violence U.S. empire meets outs around the world. His comment on the suspension changed Blinken to Putin and change Palestinians to Ukrainians, and it gets boosted by Twitter instead of censored. That's the quote. And this is what Garland got. Hey, Garland Nixon, your account, Garland Nixon, has been suspended for violating Twitter rules, specifically for violating our rules against hateful conduct. And this is the tweet. Secretary Blinken to-do list: blow up Nord Stream pipeline. 2, overthrow Pakistani government. 3, try to rub out Iran Khan. 3, he should have said 4 here, but 4, more money to Azov Battalion. 5, Istanbul, go boom. 6, personally strangle some Palestinians to death with your bare hands.
That's base as hell. How you get suspended for that?
Hey, I still think people that said worse. I don't think he should have been kicked off of that. That was base.
It says note that if you attempt to evade permanent suspension by creating new account, we will suspend your new account. That's weak. Oh, he has some other receipts here.
They was after him.
Yeah, NAFO going after him. They going after the black. They going after black in the empire too, because bro, there are black people all over Twitter calling out the Ukrainian Nazis, and Nixon is one of them. And they're trying to go after. They're going after black in the empire, and they're going after Nixon.
You heard what the government told us before we go fight for them. Man. You might be called nigger. They might try to fuck with you, man. You know what I'm saying?
All these people's reported, son. So all these people reported. I can take mine out and go ahead, Nick. I think you were gonna say something.
Yeah, we exposed already that NAFO up on Twitter, it was literally started by Nazi. A lot of them are Nazis, and now they ran ops to go after black leftists who speak out against the Ukrainian Nazi money laundering scheme. And this is like out in the open white supremacy that liberals are cheerleading for.
Hey Nick, can you give them what the acronym NAFO means? Because a lot of people
Atlantic Fellas Organization. So
if you got an organization based on hating people, it's not an organization. That's just a motherfucking.
There's literally no. Like, we don't know. That shit is 98% fake. CIA, 2% dumb, impressionable liberals. Like, you know, the dumb liberals like, oh, I want to be part of NAFO too. I believe in Zelensky. There's probably like 2% of those people. But then, like, it's all fake. It's obvious.
Yeah.
So
too obvious. Especially when your page is just made today. And you somehow found my page.
Here is Tara Reid's tweet, Rome, on the same subject, Garland Nixon. This is what she says. Do I need to make this bigger? Yeah.
All our loss.
It is all our loss to silence a voice like Garland Nixon, who has incredible insight and an amazing career dedicated to serving this country that informs his views to expose corruption. This is wrong, Twitter, very wrong, and it is not free speech to deplatform him, and just receipt showing permanently suspended. You are with that close up. So everybody's tweeting. I don't know if it's trending, but it's a lot of tweets. Here's Caitlin Johnstone on it. Also, unbanning a few celebrities while banning critics of the empire is not facilitating free speech in any way that matters. Unban Garland, Elon, Twitter support, Twitter. And
man, I told you guys, and you had when he was asked about Alex Jones, this was the biggest thing that exposed Elon Musk, because when Elon Musk was asked about Alex Jones, let me see if I can pull it up. It's probably still available.
Go ahead, you can take that down. Absolutely.
He said, well, I have no mercy to people who profit off the death of kids, right? Which I think we all can agree. We think that's horrific. But don't you understand that he just devalued his own argument? How can I find a damn tweet? Don't find Alex Jones' tweet. Because he says we must limit the free speech of Alex Jones
3 hours a week
because he's harmful, right? Now, the people who want to deplatform other right wingers, they make that same argument. So the LGBTQ community say we have to deplatform people who promote anti-LGBTQ hate speech, and that's dangerous. So what Elon Musk is doing, he's saying, oh, that's not dangerous, but this specific thing that I care about is dangerous. That is not free speech. That is you, a billionaire, imposing your morality on a platform the same as the old boss. And that's exactly what I told you guys what happened, because we have basic Marxist principled ideology and breakdowns. These billionaires, there's no billionaire that is more benevolent than the other ones. There's no billionaire that's smarter, more cunning than the other ones. There are billionaires that are more cutthroat than other billionaires. And those billionaires that are more cutthroat are the ones who get ahead. There's countless stories of Elon Musk's horrific business practices, the way he treats labor, the way he crushes unions, the way he haven't paid contractors. These things are documented. The same thing with Donald Trump. Why the people who get on top are not the smartest business people. They are the best capitalists, and capitalists requires brutality. Go ahead. I wish I could find a tweet. But the point I was making, I literally typed in Elon Musk, Alex Jones. Let me type in son. Case I lost my firstborn son, something like that.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Here it is. I found a screenshot. Like, goddamn, why was I tweeting?
They don't want free speech.
Yeah, they pull this up and I get you guys in here.
And the thing is, these people want free speech to rule. You know what I'm saying? To cheer for the empire. What happens when the people that want free speech that don't give a fuck about your damn empire or fuck about your politicians? Then you're gonna be screaming to get them kicked off.
Remember what I said when the whole story about Elon Musk taking over Twitter happened? I said I was not excited. And there's like these populists, the right-wing populists who follow me because I speak out against Democrats in the war machine, who was disappointed on my Elon Musk. So like, you guys who believe that Elon Musk is going to restore free speech, out of your goddamn mind. This is what Elon Musk said about restoring Alex Jones. My firstborn child died in my arm. I felt his last heartbeat. I have no mercy for anyone who will use the death of children for gain, politics, or fame. So you're going to deplatform him because you feel he went too far. Now, Elon, you got to understand, that is the argument that the trans and the LGBTQ community makes all the time. These people have gone too far, so we must deplatform them. That's the same argument. So why did one apply to one group but not the other? And I mentioned at the time that the right-wing populists and the people like Elon Musk, they do not care about free speech. They're not standing up for people who are censored because they're supporting BDS. I said on this show, you're not going to stand up for people who have been censored and attacked because of their stance on the Ukraine war. George Galloway, our friend Wyatt Reed, and many other people still got the Russian state media tags on them. Right-wingers believe free speech is just the ability to say the N-word and gay slurs on social media without consequence. That's literally how far it goes for them. They do not believe in free speech. The only principled people who believe that the government should not crack down on the proletariat in their speech and their ability to challenge power are the Marxists. Are we clear? Not the Democrats, not the Republicans. Not a single Republican, not a single one believes in free speech. Not a single one.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Especially their hero, DeSantis. DeSantis definitely doesn't believe in free speech. So y'all can get that out of your head.
Out of here with this shit. So you guys realize there was a libertarian group that dropped out and endorsed the GOP this midterm. The Libertarian Party is not fucking serious, guys. I'm over them. They're not serious. I didn't do the story on that, but there's a story. I think let's see if I can find it. But this libertarian group like endorsed the GOP. They always Missouri Libertarian Party. Here it is. I did do this story on the show. Hopefully I got the story bookmarked. But the Libertarian Party in Missouri, my state, literally endorsed the Republicans this election. So and that's what the Libertarian Party always been about, endorsing and propping up the Republican Party. And they're like edgy Republicans.
We try, you guys. We try. Look, I don't want you guys to vote for Democrats, so you might as well just vote for these guys. They're the closest to us. Like, and people don't say that they've been duped, but whatever.
I think we can close that segment. Garland, Nixon suspended. And then let's go to another quick story, which is Dr. Fauci final day. And today is likely his final official in the official capacity that he is currently in now. He will absolutely be back on the hill for some investigations that the Republicans will be unleashing, I should say, for him. Let's just look at a couple of clips that's online, and then there's a story that just kind of briefly talks about him and what's going on. But this one right here, this is obviously the Daily Caller tries to ask Dr. Fauci about what he did to investigate the origins of the COVID-19, and it shut down. So obviously on the right, this is like something that they're going to be going after. So this is just to briefly show what's his final day on the job. This is the right-wing version, and then we're going to show MSNBC's version of the same thing.
About this. Dr. Fauci, only 13% of...
Hold on one second.
we have a process here. I'm not calling out on people who yell. And you're being disrespectful to your colleagues, and you're being disrespectful to our guests. I will not call on you if you yell. And also, you're taking time off the clock because Dr. Fauci has to leave in a couple of minutes. I'm done. I'm not getting into a back and forth with you. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Dr. Fauci. But it's beautiful how civility politics is used all the time, and that's absolutely what was just used there to shut down. Now, whatever you think about the opposition, but that was absolutely was. It's not an engagement in the substance of the question. It's just to pander that way. So now let's get the actual information from MSNBC and Mr. Greenspan's wife. We have to start referring her to that way when we're talking about this, so people understand how intertwined this is. Yeah, Mrs. Greenspan. I'm sorry, Mrs. Greenspan. So let's listen. It's a minute and 20 seconds.
At the White House just moments ago, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and what he says is his last appearance in the briefing room in this job, as he prepares to leave the administration in December. After serving under 7 presidents, the head of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, urging Americans to get their COVID boosters and their flu shots.
When I see people in this country, because of the divisiveness in our country, of not getting vaccinated for reasons that have nothing to do with public health, but have to do because of divisiveness and ideological differences, as a physician, it pains me because I don't want to see anybody get infected. I don't want to see anybody hospitalized, and I don't want to see anybody die from COVID. Whether you're a far-right Republican or a far-left Democrat, doesn't make any difference to me.
That's because he's a doctor and he's a scientist. Dr. Fauci has dedicated more than 50 years of his life to government service, from the fight against HIV to, of course, the COVID pandemic.
You mean the one he failed?
She got some nerve to bring up the fight against HIV. Go ahead, Nick, if you want to chime in on the HIV part.
If you're on team Dr. Fauci, when she said that, you shut the fuck. You don't shut the fuck up about that. Don't mention that shit.
That's when I knew Democrats wasn't serious about gay people. When they was riding his coattails and propping him up, I was like, oh, they don't give a fuck about none of us.
Yeah, they don't. So without talking about COVID, obviously, because we ain't really trying to go down that rabbit hole. What do you all of you think of Dr. Fauci, and what do you think is going to happen to him in the next Congress? What do you think of the job he's done in the position? Regardless of what the pandemic is, whatever the illness was. Go ahead.
The only thing I'm gonna say on Fauci, because I've ripped on him many times, the fact that the liberal media cleaned up and rehabilitated this guy is absolutely disgusting. You guys know that Dr. Fauci worked hand in hand with Ronald Reagan, and he was responsible for the failed U.S. HIV epidemic. And now, like, I literally Googled it. You see these articles, and I've seen segments of this as well, where the liberal media whitewashes that. They're like, and now they present that Dr. Fauci was there on the front line during the HIV epidemic, guiding the country. They literally are whitewashing a criminal, and no one is talking about it. Like this, everyone knew. And CJ, we all black. Anyone who's black, we all know that the government failed during the HIV epidemic. That is well known and been well established until COVID. Now, ever since COVID, now you got liberals that are like, oh my God, yeah, Dr. Fauci and the U.S. government, they did a great job handling HIV. It's absolutely disgusting, and we got to continue as independent media to bash Fauci. And that's the only thing I'm passing to you guys, the only thing I'm going to say on this topic. But we got to continue to bash them because they will the history is written by the winners. Like, if we don't push back against this Fauci religion, in 30 years, motherfuckers going to talk about him like he MLK. Like I already see it. You already saw it in the segment. I saw one. It wasn't the segment that you played, CJ. I saw another one where this guy was like, Dr. Fauci, without doubt, is going to go down as one of the most important and influential public figures in the last 25 years. I'm going to vomit it, but I see what they're already doing. That's why we got to put the pressure on these people. But go ahead, JB.
Okay. So this is a little home for me because not only am I gay, but I also have friends who are HIV positive. Mm-hmm. So the AIDS epidemic that happened into the 1980s and Dr. Fauci working under Reagan, it's not lost upon me that the efforts pushed were subdued, pulled back, because given the ideology that many people had, especially Reagan, if it's a gay disease, let them die out. Go ahead, let them die out. And make it look like you're actually working hard, but just slow it down. And so that's honestly how it feels. And so for someone like him to be part of that and then now to be praised for really working, at the behest of corporations at Big Pharma, and it's not really for the people, it's actually for profit, you just see Fauci for who he is. And so,
JB, you want to say something?
Hey, sure.
I'll pass it to you because I found. Look at this. This is Dr. Fauci, and guys, it's hard to find this shit now, bro. They be purging the internet. It's the same as I remember clearly in 2016 how easy it was to find articles and stories that highlighted how the DNC stole the election. Now, good luck finding it. That is going to be the same with Dr. Fauci. They're going to start purging the story. Look at this. This is Dr. Fauci. This is what he did this under the Reagan administration, the same way he under the tutelage of the Biden administration lied about COVID, lied about vaccine, he lied about everything. He did the same thing during the AIDS epidemic, and now people are whitewashing it. Watch, listen. This tweet said Fauci, the same person who said you can get AIDS just by being in the same room as someone. So the same way he spread disinformation about COVID, he was doing the same thing about AIDS back then in order to justify Ronald Reagan, because the Ronald Reagan administration had a strategy of demonizing the homo and the black community, so it would justify them not having a proper response. And Fauci was going out there and he was helping them fearmonger over it. So let's watch this clip, this short clip, and I'll show you something else.
From the disease, this brings in the implications that there are other ways, just plain close contact. And given the long incubation period of this disease, we may be starting to see, as we're seeing virtually as the months go by, other groups that can be involved. And seeing it in children is really quite disturbing.
When you say other close contact, give me some examples.
Well, for example, if the close contact of a child is a household contact, perhaps there will be a certain number of cases of individuals who are just living with and in close contact with someone with AIDS or at risk of AIDS, who does not necessarily have to have intimate sexual contact or share a needle, but just the ordinary close contact that one sees in normal interpersonal relationships. Now,
we all know that is not true now. Now, I'll show you this, and I'll pass it to you, JB, because I found this while I was searching. This is an example of how they're whitewashing Anthony Fauci. They're the Center of Strategic International Studies.org. Anthony Fauci at the forefront of the fight against HIV and AIDS. What the fuck? But they have successfully done it. They took the guy who played a big role in failing the HIV response. Now they turned him to a hero of the epidemic. But anyway, go ahead.
They separated a lot of families, man, because a lot of people actually believe that, and a lot of people still believe that to this day. It's heartbreaking. But,
yeah. No, yeah. And the thing is that, hearing Fauci say that when that is patently false just shows that also his prejudice was showing. Because if you're a scientist, it doesn't matter. Science goes beyond prejudice. It goes beyond preconceived notions, and it shows what the truth really is. That being said, science has figured out that you cannot get HIV or AIDS at all by being in the same room with someone. It actually has to be through, an exchange of bodily fluids, which means sexual relations. Outside of that, you can hug somebody, and in fact, you're actually more dangerous to a person with AIDS than they are to you, because they actually have either a very small or no immune system. So you can actually hurt them. They can't hurt you. And that's the crazy part, because it's literally destroying the immune system. And so with that being said, for someone like Fauci to say that you can get it by being in the same room, absolutely not. You can shake hands, you can hug somebody, you can give them a kiss on the cheek, and it will not do anything bad to them. And trust me, I have friends who are HIV positive. So that being the case, no. And the fact that he actually pushed that, it's like, dude, you know better. You should have known better. And then did he ever come out and correct himself? I don't know.
He get paid better to lie.
I would hope that he came out and said, you know what, I was absolutely wrong. But I don't know about that. And the thing is that, God, after what just happened over the weekend, we suffer this stuff either from somebody wanting to shoot our brains out in a club, or you have people like Fauci who just gave misinformation. And then next thing you know, you have people, just like what you said, Rome, where, you know, a lot of us were kicked out of the house because we had the gay disease back in the 80s. You know, it's just, and then a lot of them, you know, we're saying, and then expand widespread throughout Africa.
So if you guys don't remember, and thank God I found this. I know I kind of hijacked this segment because I was showing you guys some receipts on Fauci. Here's another one regarding his reputation for bundling the AIDS crisis. It was so bad that this was a movie called The Dallas Buyers Club. And the Dallas Buyers Club, the villain was based on Dr. Fauci, because it was based on the guy who it said, "Do you know Dr. Fauci was the villain?" Oh, I didn't mean to click on this one, but he had the title here. Dr. Fauci was a villain in the 2013 Dallas Buyers Club. So yeah, it was so well known. He was an antagonist in a movie because his role. It was based on Fauci during the AIDS epidemic. The movie was made very long time ago. I'm pretty sure there are a few more receipts on there, but I'll pass it to you guys because it just shows that they're gonna whitewash this guy if the corporate media wins.
I like that you brought this up, Nick, though, because it do go hand in hand with the next segment. Well, I won't say the next segment. I don't know what's up next, but the other segment that we have, what went on.
I can do. Let's do. CJ, do you mind we do the medical debt story just because it fits with this story?
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, because like I said, I'm able to stay the full time today, so I think we got a full show.
Yeah, and my story's not gonna be that long. It's not gonna be long. I'm just doing a quick report. So, and the reason why I cover the COVID pandemic and the RBN, we cover the COVID pandemic the way we have done. We don't blame the unvaccinated. We don't blame our neighbors. This was a government failure. There's the failure of Dr. Fauci and our neoliberal capitalist government. There's been studies that show that you could save 1/3 of the lives, over 350,000. It's more now because it's an old study. So literally like a year ago, you could save 350,000 people if we had single payer in the middle of this pandemic. So these liberal authoritarians who pretend that they implement mandates and these other policies because they care about saving people's lives while they don't support single payer, I don't believe you. There's the people who still believe that people should be in medical debt, that we shouldn't have a single payer healthcare system. We supposed to care. We supposed to think that these people care about us. Yeah. Now I'm gonna bring up my this story. This is from a few weeks ago. And we had a conversation. I'm gonna continue to put back on some of our populist friends who want to reduce the impact of what it means to be black in this country. I explained before, you cannot separate race and class. The people that want to do that for some reason, they feel like it's either or. We explained many times, race is connected to class. It's intertwined. These are the systems that capitalism established in order to maintain their social hierarchy. So you can't separate race from class. One great example of this is that when you look at civil asset forfeiture, 60% of the civil asset forfeiture cases are black. That's our wealth being stolen by the state. We get. I shared a story a long time ago. I explained it many times. I got a check in the mail a few years ago, and I know about it because I was in the auto industry. You had Toyota Financial and you had all these financial companies in the car business. It's funny. I got checked because I was a victim of this lawsuit, but I was in the car industry and we had to go through these racial sensitivity programs, training, because I was in management at that time. We had to go through the sensitivity training for something that I was a victim of because there was a lawsuit that showed that Toyota Financial and a lot of institutions were charging Black customers a higher interest rate. And I was one of the people, my first car loan, I had an insane interest rate. And they found that if you had I had my mom co-sign for me for my first car loan, right? They said if you took a poor white kid with a single mom co-signer, they, on a national average, got like 5 to 6% less interest than we did. So I got a check in the mail for like $1,000 because that's a low estimate on how much they overcharge us on rent on our car loan. See, you see that's how Black wealth cannot compete and continue to get dragged behind on white wealth. That was and guys, I know this because I was in the car industry. That number was lowballed because they come with settlement and then they negotiate it down. So they sent me a check for $1,000 in the mail. That was a settlement. You had Black car loan people who rent cars and they were Black who's paying higher interest. The same with housing. The same with everything. So add that up. Add that extra interest that we are paying, the $1,000 more on the car, the $1,000 more on the house. Do you guys see the sanction on Black people in this country? This is why you cannot separate race and class. Yes, poor white people struggle as well. That's why it makes no sense why you guys oppose us, right? Because if you uplift the Black community, everyone's uplifted. Because we all going through the same thing, but the Black poor through a higher stint. Now I'm gonna give you guys another example of this. Medical debt. Why do I think the Democratic Party is anti-Black? Joe Biden said he would veto Medicare for all if it hit his desk. Bernie and the squad in the Democratic Party refused to even force a vote on universal health care and canceling student medical debt. I'm asking you guys, who would benefit the most from these policies? So, as someone who connects race and class, we need to start calling out the capitalist class on this because it is one of the most effective ways to message. Do you guys understand? So, I talk to my brothers and sisters, and I pull them away from the Democratic Party. You guys don't want to know how? Because I say the Democratic Party is anti-Black. You are anti-Black if you do not support single-payer health care. Do you guys understand how that rhetoric and that framing helps? I am a propagandist for the working class. I am teaching you guys how to frame these arguments. I went to South Carolina, in the most conservative country in the most conservative state in the country, and I got Black people to support Medicare for all, the most conservative Black people, because I explained this to them. I said, if you look at the policies, Medicare for all is the most pro-Black policy you can vote for. And now I know you guys want to chime in. I'll get you guys in. I'll just read this one stat and I'll get you guys in because this whole article is worth reading. But look at this. In this one area in Knoxville, residents in Black neighborhoods are more than twice as likely as white neighborhoods to owe money for medical bills. Now I'm going to go down to the national average because they were focusing on this one particularly bad area. But trust me, it's a national trend too. Nationally, 56% of Black adults owe money for medical debt compared to 37% of white adults. Once again, this number is a tragedy, but almost twice as many Black adults. So, and we all know, I think you guys, I don't think we have any.
I mean, even in Detroit, like our housing taxes, our housing taxes in Detroit is way more than the suburban areas, even though our houses look like crap. Our neighborhoods look like crap, and we still pay more in taxes.
So, and I'll pass to you guys, because I just want to do my presentation. I know I went for a while. I want to get you guys in here. But we all know someone who had medical debt. Or we either have medical debt or we know someone who had medical debt. I explained many times before, my grandfather and my grandparents should still be alive. So this is another thing that's important to highlight. And this is why I say if you support our privatized healthcare system, that is the anti-Black position. So my grandpa died 25 years younger than Henry Kissinger is right now. Henry Kissinger, the war criminal, is going to live 25 years longer than my grandpa. Not only just because he's rich and he can't have health care, it's because health care is so expensive. In my family, it's a cultural thing where we don't go to the doctor. We all know people like that. And look at this paragraph right here that explains this. Decades of discrimination in housing, employment, and healthcare block generations of Black families from building wealth, saving, and assets that are increasingly critical to accessing America's high-priced medical system. Against that backdrop, patients suffer. People with debt avoid seeking care. Do you guys know why my grandpa died early? Because he didn't detect the cancer, because my grandpa was terrified to go to the doctor because he didn't want to go in debt. He didn't have the money. If we had a functioning society where people is able to have health care, we can detect our cancers earlier. We can have the treatment to treat that. But anyway, I talked enough. You guys see how much I'm passionate about this issue. I would love you go ahead, JB.
Yeah, JB, Rome, if you want to chime in on the topic, sir, I'll go last.
Oh boy, you know I want to. As somebody that holds thousands of dollars in medical debt, I have look. I've been on dialysis for 15 years now. Can you imagine the amount of medical debt that I have right now? The thing is that not only are we discriminated against in the process of getting medical care, right? Because I think it's yesterday or today is the 3rd year since I was in the hospital and I almost went into septic shock and almost died. Yeah. So back in 2019, around this time, right before Thanksgiving, I went to the hospital because I basically had gotten sepsis. And so I was in the ICU. And I'm going to make this story really quickly. But when I was in the ICU, they couldn't get an accurate blood pressure on me. So they needed to do what was called an arterial line, right? But an A line is an apparatus that actually measures your blood pressure through a sensor that goes inside your artery. But they couldn't put it inside any of my arms. One, because one of them I couldn't use because of dialysis and I'm a hard stick. So you know what they had to do? They had to put an arterial line and a central line in my groin. They didn't knock me out. They only used local anesthetic. I felt everything. And the doctor that did it, bedside, was like, oh man, I've never had anybody scream in pain like that before. But then again, they're always out of it when I do it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I was awake and aware the entire time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm a Black man. And mind you, a couple weeks ago, I saw a book that was for training for nurses that talks about how Black people have more of a tolerance for pain. And that was written just a few years ago. Not that long. It was less than 10 years ago. That book was written. That textbook was written. So on top of all that, that's the insult. Now here's the injury, where we are constantly being charged more, even for medical debt. And we're under constant medical debt all the time.
And it's funny how we are a minority in this country, but Black women are one of the majorities that die while giving birth.
Yes.
That shouldn't even be, you know what I'm saying? We shouldn't even be in that type of bubble, but here we are. And when people say there's racism in the medical field, oh no, there's no way a doctor can be racist. Nigga, look at all the experiments that we have done from MK Ultra to Tuskegee, and what are you talking about? And it doesn't, I don't know. But all I know is these people you need to pull the blinders off your eyes and see the world for what it really is. You know, the world is an evil place, and these people are in positions to see. I don't know how many doctors that kill, how many ID channels and all that murder porn is going to take to see that these doctors really don't give a fuck. They're there for a check. They're there for this and that, or they're there for their people. I'm not going to say all doctors are bad or evil, but the majority of them move for the insurance company. If not, let's be real. Like, they're there for that fucking money. I don't give a fuck about you.
This is the easiest way I can kind of explain when we say race is class, class is race. One way you can look at it is so we're all here in this bucket of poverty. If 100% of the reason why all the black people are in poverty are specifically because their race, you see how it cannot be disconnected? Mm-hmm. We're put into this poverty class because of our race. That's why it cannot be disconnected from us. This being disconnected thing, I didn't even understand that until like 3 years ago when I even started dealing with these people on Twitter. I always thought that was understood to be one and the same, not until I start involving myself with other political voices. And I'm like, what? People think that's separate? I didn't understand people even thought that that was a thing until I started talking about politics. It's one and the same. It's really, to me, it's something that other people just simply don't have the capacity, Rome, Nick, and JB, to even really grasp the concept, because really it's just something that black people have experienced. Like, what other race, what other ethnicity, what other category can say I'm poor because of this other category? No women can't say I'm put into being poor because I'm a woman. I'm put into being this because but we can say we're forced into poverty because of our skin color.
Yeah. I just need to address this. Number one, okay. Do you not hear what we said? We were talking about how this actually affects us because of our race too. There are rich black women that have actually went through this too. It's not just class. No, with black people, class and race are in a mix. We cannot separate it because it happens to us. How many times have somebody who had money was stopped by police and were discriminated against? Unless they're super famous, it happens. Hell, Dave Chappelle even talked about it. So if they can talk about when the criminal justice system, it definitely does happen to us, even in the medical system, in the medical field. So please miss me with that bullshit and talk about, oh, it's just class. No. Because you're still, look, even a rich black person is still discriminated against. They're still discriminated against, even if they have money. So that's the thing. And so you can talk about, oh, well, it's just about class, when guess what? We live in a white supremacist nation.
I'm black before I'm poor. I said that before on Twitter. You know, people say,
like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not even any more even invested on trying to get people to understand this concept, to be honest, to be frank.
Yeah, I literally just broke down the numbers.
This is like one of those things, like black, like reparations. Like, I don't give a fuck with white. I don't care what you think about this. Like, it really is irrelevant. But we're just explaining it in that context.
I mean, I literally broke down the numbers, and
I don't care if you don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't care if you don't get it.
Yeah, this is not the channel for you. Then I guess there's gonna be many there are many white channels that's gonna tell you guys race relations in this country is great. There's so many white viewers that you guys want to hear it. You guys want someone to tell you that race relations is great. This is not the place for you. I came with facts and figures. Looking at numbers. How historic black people, 40% of the homeless population is black. When you look at the amount of medical debt, way more black. So you can't separate the two. And if you're poor and you're white, you benefit from what we're asking for. So why would you guys even get in our way? So why? And I'm gonna ask you guys this question, because people say this all the time. Well, poor white people go through this too. So if poor white people go through this, why do they actively oppose us? They make the calculation that playing the culture war and backing up white supremacy is in their interest more than the economic issues. Ask yourself why. I don't know. You guys they in your family. You guys are the ones who got the Trump support, not me. So you guys ask them, why are you guys voting for Republican? Why are the white liberals voting different? Why are you guys voting for your oppressors? Why do you guys repeat culture war nonsense instead of fighting for stuff that will fix your poor white ass? You don't do it. A lot of them don't do it because they know instinctively that backing up white supremacy will benefit them. So these are questions that you guys got to ask yourself. When you look at black radicals, when you look at RBN, when you look at what a lot of these black leftists are talking about, when you look at Malcolm X, when you look at the Black Panthers, when you look at our sister Finney, when you look at Margaret Kimberly, when you look at Glenn Ford, we are challenging capitalism. We're the poor white working class. Yeah, you guys keep asking us to fight your battles. Like, nigga, we fight our battle that will help you guys out, and you guys are fighting us.
It's not even just about the you know what I'm saying, the medical aid and whatnot, nigga. Look at how many shootings are targeted towards blacks and minorities from the white people. Like, y'all really have to get y'all people in line before y'all ever come over here and try to talk about what we need to be talking about, what we need to be doing. Because I just seen the live shooting of the Buffalo shooting again, and it was many more shootings after that people that they don't promote. So check your people before you ever.
And I do want to address this as well, because we do acknowledge all the time, and we love our white allies, but the real white allies are not going to try and say, "Oh, stop talking about race and class." Stop talking about so the real white allies hear what we say and they say, "Okay, we understand where you're coming from." The people we don't fuck with are the white people. Like, "Oh my God, stop mentioning this. Stop bringing up." No, you guys are not. You're not. So Eric is an ally. You guys see the white allies we have on our show all the time. Who
Eric is black, actually,
with us, right? Hey, Eric, right? Sorry, Eric, I apologize. I just assumed based on the comments.
Yeah, but we can. CJ, go ahead. I think we can close that. That was a great. We got to definitely clip that segment. That was a good segment. I think it'll. I think it'll do well. But
that was an older article. I couldn't find a way to slip into the show till now. But I have another 8 minutes. I gotta actually take out for dinner with the family. What other stories do we have? I don't know. I can pass it to you guys if you don't mind.
You say you have another story? Is what you're saying?
No. I said I got to head out soon.
Oh, you got to head out. I don't know if we have any other story. I think. Oh no, we have LGBTQ under attack. We have that one.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can always do that another time, but I do have this one clip that I wanted to show to Nick and CJ.
Yeah, I'll stay for this last story. JB, if you want to run it.
It's not a story. It's just a video.
A funny segment.
Yeah, I just want you guys to laugh. I think you guys are gonna laugh. Because
I have a short segment you can stay for after he shows his video. It's a short segment just to get your comments on.
Okay.
Go ahead,
cool.
JB.
Okay, so I'm gonna show this really quick. Hang on, let me make sure. Okay. All right, so let me share my screen. I'm not sure if I showed this to anybody else, but let's see. All right, so I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this, and you know how these guys are always trying to do the stories of how you can get better and explore, grow financially and things like that. You see those, right? It says it says entrepreneurs when they go on a podcast. So let's go.
Break it down. What you want to do is you want to wake up every morning at 1:47 a.m. You don't even want to eat breakfast. Don't even drink water. Create an LLC as soon as you wake up. Then when you do with that LLC is you go and apply for a business loan, get $100 million within 15 hours. Then you take that $150,000 million, then you go buy NBC. Now you own NBC. So when you own NBC, money you make from NBC and make a trust fund. Then you want to stop having a damn fund. Life is boring. After that, you want to make sure you stay up for 7 weeks straight, no sleep, no food, no water, you want to fast every day. You don't want to eat at all for 7 hours straight for 70 days straight. You don't want to eat, you don't want to drink water. Then from there, you want to purchase a Komodo dragon. When you do that, you buy a pet monkey. With the pet monkey, the pet monkey to the moon to go find kryptonite. Once you get the kryptonite, you put it on Amazon and have someone drop ship it for you, and that's how you should start. I'm gonna break it down. What you want to do is you want to wake up every morning at 1:47 a.m. You don't even want to eat breakfast. Don't even drink water. Create an LLC as soon as you wake up. Then when you
that is on point because a lot of these CEOs, if it's plain, a lot of these CEOs, they don't even do shit. They might have worked long hours to get first started, but a lot of these capitalists, they were started by money. They were started by generational wealth. And then when they were asked, I see there's these countless interviews with these people. Elon Musk is one who's the most guilty. Where they were like, "Oh my God, how you get started?" Like, I'm a self-made millionaire. I'm a self-made businessman. All I did was invest the money that I got, and I made smart. Invest how? How do you get the money? They always leave that part out. They leave the part out with Obama. I think Jeff Bezos, he got like a $500,000 loan from his family to start his business. So then the people, they would like leave that part out, and then they would wag the finger at the poor, like, "Oh my God, you poor people, you could have become rich like me. Why don't you got rich parents?"
That to me tells you, or let us know, they understand that they understand the messaging from saying I came from nothing. That is them saying that. But let me do this quick segment since you're here, and it's just for everybody to give their comments on there's no other option but general strike. And I just want to give my comments, and then we'll go to Nick, and then we'll go to Rome, and then JB. Just to kind of sum up, I want everybody just kind of sum up from your own point of view. Like, why do you feel like we really don't have any other options? And I'm going to tell you why I feel like we don't have any other options but general strike. And the Bernie Sanders AOC in the U.S. left is weak as hell. They're weak AF, right? And that's why we're left with no other options. And let me read a couple of things I wrote down. So historically speaking, when we're talking about liberation and human rights, the avenues that people have been successful are a strong, uncorrupted push from the left, if you're talking politically, if you're talking electorally, and a general strike. And since the left in the United States have been bought, co-opted, and neutralized, it is unable or unwilling or incapable of putting up an adequate fight against capitalists and the ruling class, and that just leaves the one option. And as you think about what I'm saying, think about the American left and all the things they have failed us on, or all the things that are disappointed us on. I'm talking about war and climate change is probably the two number one things for me. And then you're talking about homelessness. You're talking about wages. The parliamentarian said, "Fuck that shit." Right? You're talking about corruption. What are they doing about that? You got Bernie Sanders out here sheepdogging. Like you said earlier, Nick, the best we got. Okay? Let me bring up a couple of headlines. So the best we got do stuff like this. So when the best we got does this, that means it's time for a general strike, in my opinion. Like, if the best we got is fine with not pushing back on anything, if the best we got is fine with calling Joe Biden, the greatest of the great, if the best we got do stuff like this, AOC praises Biden, defends war against Russia, and attacks socialist critics in an interview with The Intercept. And that was just this month, this article. So that's just the point I want to make. Like, I don't see another option at this point. I really don't see anything other than a general strike. And I wanted to talk about this during this stream because of what's happening with the rail workers and how they're literally about to go on strike. And those fuckers in Congress is about to fucking vote legislation to force them back to work. The Democrats, Nina, the Democrats, David Sirota, the Democrats, Marianne Williamson, these are the people that's the labor. You know how Majority Report and everybody wants to be on labor. The Democrats are about to foil this. So anybody else want to chime in on no other option?
Go ahead, JB.
So I want to give attention to a great comment by Eric. Eric said, capitalists going to kill us all. That's the reason for a general strike. This is a reason for why we need to talk to people who are on the ground, especially people who, you know, if we can move them to the left, especially when it comes to economic issues, especially in key sectors like the logistics sector, the sector when it comes to the ones who work in the shipyards, the ones who work on the rails, the ones who are truck drivers, people like that, and let them know that they actually have the power to force a strike. Because the thing is, we can go to the restaurants, we can go to different venues and talk about general strike, which may help. But if you stop the artery, then you don't have to do anything to the organs. See what I mean? So, you know, if you know somebody that's truck driver, if you know somebody that is, you know, working, you know, at the railroads, you know, they're working for like CSX or something like that, talk to them. Because that thing is that these capitalists are going to kill us before we ever get any type of revolution or any type of liberation at all. And so that's what it means to me.
So I want before we get Roman here, I want to show you guys this video because I've never been one with ego. Like if I'm ever wrong about these things, and someone ever say, "Oh, you need a better theory of change. You guys need to do this instead of that." If you guys are right, that benefits me, right? So let's have a conversation about this because I am trying to take revolutionary actions and how to apply it given the current state that we are in right now. So I'm gonna show you this quick. This is from when I was on George Galloway. We played it before, but I'm gonna play my theory of change. You guys gonna see I mentioned strikes in this video, and I want to show you guys the context in which I mentioned it. So I'm pulling this up because it had relevance here. Let's listen to it quickly. In my vision of change, third parties in America, it's hard for us to win, but we need to focus on taking care of our material needs while building up a anti-war movement, an anti-capitalist movement, a proletariat movement. So we need to focus on mutual aid. That is what Rome is doing with Tour for the Poor. That is what we're doing, launching RBN chapters all over this country so we can separate ourselves from the capitalist system. Once we separate ourselves from the capitalist system by building mutual aid societies, we show up and build those mutual aid societies via third party. So when we do our food drives, whenever we show up and help people, we are letting people know that we showed up. You have a mutual aid party that show up, that are taking care of the people while the politicians is abandoning us. We build this movement, we get on the debate stage. All we need is 5%. And a lot of people don't know that 5% in the third party gets you federal funding. 15% puts you on a national debate stage. Now, remember, 3% is all you really need historically to have massive social change. And then a lot of people, like if you shut stuff down via general strike, there are a lot of people who are like, I'll just give them what they want. So to listen to what I said right there, you guys see the strategy that I am advocating? And I would love to see people clean and polish this up. I'll go a little bit longer here. But I'm talking about building a true left movement. The progressives in the Democratic Party is not a movement. I'm talking about use third party because that's using the political apparatus that we have. Use the political apparatus that we have, what people are already familiar with. There are polls that show that 50% of Americans are ready for a new third party. There's just no option there yet. So imagine we had a third party that was actively engaged in the labor movement. And people think it takes a lot of people. If we get a party that get federal funding, they got that 3 to 5% that you need to start striking, we get labor involved. Every single labor organizer that we have talked to on this show, including the K-Log strike leader, endorsed the idea of a general strike. If we can get all these people on board on one party, like we can get one party for a worker striking, got people in the streets doing mutual aid. Now we're talking about change. Now we're talking about power of the proletariat, something that the left movement in the United States haven't even tried to build. So once again, I said when I started this my part of this, I don't play no video. I'll just show you guys that part. If anyone have a better idea than this, it's not about ego. Like I'm dead honest. If you have a better idea than this, I'm all for it because I want change. But based on what we are dealing with right now, this is what I think should be what we should be building towards, right? But anyway, Rome, CJ, JB, do you got that's my long answer? I'll stop it there. But Rome, if you want to chime in,
Rome, what's your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, people want change, man. It's only gonna come from us because we know, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that we know better, but we're gonna be out there to fight, and we're showing people that we're gonna be out there to fight, and people see what's happening. Nobody is dumb. They see it. These people, these officials are washing money through wars, and you know they are paying more at the pump. They're paying more for their electric bills and utilities and whatnot, and they want to change. But who's gonna bring them out there to fight? And you know, I talk to people that's way older than me in my neighborhood. Some people that raised me, and he's like, you know, I never really thought about it like this, but yeah, you know, fuck America.
62%. 62%.
We got to do something different, and sometimes, you know, your parties and the revolution isn't going to come in the form that you would want it. And this is what me and CJ was talking about. Like, it's not going to come from even some of these people.
Care party, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, the care party will do. What is it called? I'm sorry. We're not going to be running, but we're going to be doing like little petitions and shit like that, trying to get laws changed. So we're still going to deal in politics, but overall, our goal is to overthrow capitalism. So we're building the military overall right now. So
yeah, and I saw a comment. I think it was by Bill. I don't have it saved to highlight, Bob. He said that we're gonna need some sort of militia, some sort. I would agree. Like, we need to start working on that shit right now. If we're gonna have a general strike, the capital class is gonna use the police to attack us. And now this is a conversation that make a lot of people squirmish, but this is the kind of stuff we gotta be ready for. Not promoting violence, but being ready for the violent capitalist response. Like, let's not stop. We can't be caught off guard. The non-violent shit is gonna get us killed. Like, if you look at successful revolutions, they may not have actively engaged in violence, but they were ready for when the government went after them. And so too many times in the United States, the cops come out, they pepper spray us, they fuck us up, and they ruin the action. We need to be ready, because if we actually start shutting shit down, they will go after us. So
too many of my leaders have died for me to sit here and not start some type of military to protect my people. If they talking, even if the future of the care party, if I'm not in control of it, so and so on, I want them to still have protection, because these people have, these people have people protecting them, the Secret Service, et cetera, et cetera. Why don't we have that type of people protecting our people,
you're squeamish,
third party people?
And if you're squeamish, if you're like an older soccer mom, you're like, no, I don't want to do this. That's not your role, boo-boo. That's not your role. Remember, everyone has a role in that movement. That's going to be me and Rome. That's going to be us. That's our role. I'm the martial artist. We're going to be one on the front line. If you're an older person, if you're an older comrade who in support, like a 50, and I'm not saying that to mock, that's not mocking, but if you're like a 50-year-old house,
you anti-gun.
We're not asking you to take up a gun. We're not asking you to get violent. You're there to provide material support in different ways, whether via mutual aid, donating food, that kind of stuff. We promote the idea that everyone has a role in the movement. We're not here to depower people. You see this all the time with people who are not revolutionary discipline. This would be my last thought. We can wrap up. You see people always trying to chastise people. What have you done? Are you out there doing tour for the poor like Rome? Are you doing this, doing that? No, it's not a competition. We need to work together. We need to stop depowering people. Not everyone can do what Rome is doing. Not everyone can have a successful youth channel. Not everyone can do these things. We all should do what we can do. If you're an educator, be an educator. If you can cook food for the revolution. If you're not violent, if you're squeamish at a gun and you don't want to be on the front lines with shit get hairy, stay your ass away. Me and Rome got your back. That's why, Rome, remember what we said? We need gang bangers. Like, that is gang banging in the hood. We need gang bangers for our movement.
And that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, go ahead, JB.
No, or like, for instance, if you know how, if you're good at doing things medically, that's all you do. You do that for people. Or, if you're great at teaching, then boom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're good at that. So, it's just so many people who are so good at so many things to just help people, even just to spread the message by letting people know the power that they have. Some people just aren't, not everybody's built the same way. And so you have to know your role. It's like my boy always said, know your role, bro, know your role. So I know my lane. I know where I fit. And so I stay in that lane. Some people are more contrarian. Some people are more defenders. People like Rome and Nick, they're defenders, right? So not everybody's going to be the same. But the thing is that you still.
No, wait, I can't wait to a Proud Boy, bro. Just wait. I've been waiting, bro. I've been fantasizing about fucking up a Proud Boy. Me and Rome, we're gonna be on the front line. We're gonna be on the front line. When I get old, though, I'm gonna retire and then I'm gonna pass it down to another young. That's how it go. You know what I mean?
The older I get, the bigger my guns get.
And let me chime in. Let me chime in with a couple of comments. Yeah, a couple of comments here. Where did it go? This one right here. Now I haven't seen it, but why nobody ever responds? But I can tell you why I wouldn't normally respond to somebody saying, I keep telling you guys hasn't done, because it's irrelevant for you to say it. It doesn't have a purpose in telling me about a general strike that we're going to be doing in the future. For you to, it's irrelevant. Your comment and you saying, but nobody responds. It's kind of confirming what I'm thinking while you're even asking a comment. You're using a comment to put out the revolutionary fire. That's what you're trying to do. Yes. So that's why this comment would normally be ignored, because you want to put out that fire. But what you going to respond to, and I can tell you how the person will respond if he's here still listening, he or she is still listening to this. They're going to say, no. I just want you to think about history. I just want you to think that's the play. But this is absolutely a CIA tactic, in my opinion. It is. We saying right here. So we ignore those here. We ignore CIA infiltration tactics. They're trying to, dilute the conversation or divert the conversation or prolong the conversation or prolong a point. So that's the reason why.
We got great super chat. Can we wrap on this unless you guys have anything else?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say one more thing about this. Because I'm talking to a lot of youngins in my neighborhood, and a lot of them only know gunplay. Like that's their role in the revolution. I don't know what to tell you guys. When you meet some of these people in the Care Party, you're gonna be like, oh my God, these guys are thugs or gangsters, whatever the fuck is gonna go through your head. But when you see us, you're gonna be like, they've been through stuff, but this is all that we know. We're going to teach them the best, to do the best of what they know. Don't just shoot at anything. Don't make everything your target. If you are a shooter, have a main target. Know how to aim your guns at the right targets, because there's a lot of people that we can take out in this world. But who are you taking out? Will it actually leave a mark? Will you actually be considered a legend, or a hero for taking out this person that take out millions of people across, United States and other countries across this world? But this is what we got to get together. But
I don't know what this guy's talking about here, but I'll just add this funny comment in. Like, if we have a successful revolution here, I can definitely see us having some sort of intelligence, meaning like we're gonna have people infiltrating their side. Like, we're gonna have ops. We're gonna have people infiltrating the capitalists. We're gonna have people. We're gonna use every single tactic that's gonna lead to change. And I can see that being a legitimate tactic to use. But anyway, I'm gonna read this last super chat because it's a generous super chat. I appreciate the $50. TC Blondie on 54, professional managerial class, married white woman. I am not offended by this because I 100% agree. And now that's an ally. That's a class trader. Like when we go after professional managerial class people, you can
the ones that aren't class traders.
Yeah,
the ones that aren't class traders.
Like you can be part of professional managerial class to be a class trader, and that is the people that we are looking for on here. Anyway, let me continue because this is a solid comment here. Rome inspired us to make 1,000 vegan meals for our houseless neighbors last fall. See, not only they walk the walk as well. Now we grow veggies for our neighbors, and look at that. Rome inspired us. See the beginning of the Rome inspired us. I told you guys, if we can inspire anybody,
yo, this is a victory, man.
That's a victory.
That's a victory. What's your name again? What's your name again? Bring it back up. Hang on. I want to thank this person. TC Blondie, thank you. Thank you for that message, because the thing is that is what it's all about. Leaving the world better than you found it. And just by doing that, I don't care. I don't even care if it's a super chat. That message itself is huge. It's massive. Because that means that you are actually affecting your world in a positive way that these people probably would have never gotten affected in that way.
I remember
you save lives already. Like, my God, like, gotta give it up to you.
Like RBN inspires community outreach, and other channels inspire to go vote for the Democrats. Just small difference. Small difference. We're not there. That's all.
TC Blondie's out there doing the damn thing.
Anyway, you guys have any announcements? Any announcements, guys? I gotta head out.
No. When are we gonna see you, Nick? When are we gonna see you, JB? Rome? When are we gonna?
I don't have any announcements.
When can people expect to see you?
Actually, only announcement I have is I may not be able to do my Saturday show this week, guys. It's gonna suck. I gotta move my aunt. She got so much fucking stuff, dude. She got I moved my sister and I moved my cousin earlier this year. They easy moves because they're millennials, don't got a lot of shit. My aunt is a boomer with a lot of shit. This is gonna suck.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll never do Saturday show. I had a guest plan for Saturday, but I might have to move it to next Saturday. So
I might fill in then. I might fill in if I had time. I'll fill in on Saturday.
I'll let you guys know heads up early.
And then JB, what's up with you? When are we gonna see you again on this channel? I know we're gonna be on your channel. Are you doing a show tonight?
Yes, I am.
On your channel?
Actually.
Okay.
Well, no, actually, I'm gonna be on Savvy's channel tonight.
Nice.
In about half an hour.
And what is that? What's going on there?
Oh, we're talking about LGBTQ. We are going in.
I don't make sure. I got something to watch tonight then. No.
Yeah. Oliemi O'Laurin, she made a tweet about LGBTQ people in the Black community.
That, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to talk about that tonight. I'm gonna channel my inner CJ, and I'm gonna let it out. But yeah, by the way, on my channel, later this week, I'll be getting into the reading of Asada Shakur's autobiography and Dirty Truths by Michael Parenti. I'll be continuing that. So
make sure you guys subscribe to JB channel. He reads all over there all the time.
You gotta watch all of us as a group,
as a
like
network.
In order to get the whole understanding, knowledge, and teaching. You gotta watch Sabby's show. You gotta watch JB. You gotta watch RBN. You gotta watch them together because we don't overlap in what we're doing. So you gotta watch all of us in order to get the.
Remember, CJ, that's a great point. Remember, I told you guys the point of RBN was so you guys get different Black perspectives. Right. We all revolutionary. We all anti-capitalist. But you guys see, even with our show, we cover stuff differently. We cover different topics. We cover and that's the point of this Black network. So we need you guys to subscribe to JB channel. He probably had the most substantive channel on YouTube. Every stream, he's talking about some deep shit or some theory. So make sure you guys subscribe to JB.
Absolutely. Rome, what's up with you, Rome? When are we gonna see you again on streaming? Is it next week or this weekend, or what do you got going? When you going to Flint?
I'm going to Flint. I might be out in Flint next week. I had to push it up because I know I'm supposed to be out there December 22nd, but I got to push it up because I got to get the building on this library. So if y'all want to donate so I can get ready to go to Flint, you can go donate to my Twitter, to my Cash App is Tour for the Poor. And I think Venmo is Tour for the Poor also. Or if not, you can follow me on Twitter. You can find more links on there. You can find my PayPal. But we're heading to Flint to give out some clean water. I'm trying to get some purifiers right now. Trying to get in touch with my guy who can give me a hookup, but he hasn't hit me back. So I'm still trying to get that together. And the library, that, and I got something else going on, but fuck that.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
One thing. Have you guys looked at the chat for Rockfin?
No, not yet.
There's a couple of there's a couple of tips on Rockfin that we got to get to.
Okay.
I want to make sure I get to those too. Looking for them. Because we have a couple tips already on Rockfin that I'm just trying to go down. I just wanted to make sure that I see it before we end the stream, because I want to make sure I get those in. Wow, there was a lot of conversation on Rockfin.
I wonder which ones though.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. People trying to flirt with people in the chat trying to flirt with Sabby, even though she's not here.
While JB's looking for that, like the stream on your way out, please. If you could get our stream to 500 likes, that'll help us greatly. All of doing these likes actually help grow our channel, and that's how we're able to build and get so many subscribers in such a short amount of time. So please continue to like this video. Push to get 500 likes before the stream ends.
Something been bleeding on my mind all day, man. JB, you mind if I speak to the gay community? Do I get a pass to speak to the gay community tonight? And, and the trans community, because I've been seeing a lot of rhetoric of why you guys should disarm yourself, or because we don't need the guns, and because of this and that. This is why they come at you with guns, because they think that you guys are defenseless. I need everybody to defend themselves in the best way that you can. I'm not saying everybody should get a gun. Everybody should learn how to fight. Everybody should learn how to shoot. Whichever way that you can. Learn how to defend yourself. Learn how to defend your people, because when these people are coming after you, this is your time to protect them. And we seen this is what happened at the club. We have, yes, some comrades that is casualties of this bullshit. Not even just there at the club, but all over the world. Different countries. Here, Saudi Arabia. Let them know that I would die for I would die for myself, for what we believe in. You're not gonna shut me up. You're not gonna stop. I would die, or I would take you out if needed be. And we gotta treat them the same way that they treat us. If they don't treat you with respect, don't treat them with respect. They come at you with arms, you protect yourself with arms. What's gonna happen if, if it isn't one shooter?
Go ahead, JB. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah, I just had to block a troll on Rockfin. I can't find who gave the tips on Rockfin, but whoever gave the tips on Rockfin, thank you so very much.
Yeah. And sorry about those who had to experience that troll. We got to it late, so sorry we didn't.
Look at all the revolutions that these bigoted people lose because they undermine our fight, our drive to live. When we actually fight back, they be shocked. They are shocked because we are not only a minority, but we are kicking their motherfucking asses, sending them back home packing. This is what we need to do. I'm speaking to the trans community. I'm speaking to the gay community. I'm speaking to all of my brothers, all my sisters, all of you. Protect yourself. There's only one of you. And they're trying to kill you.
JB, what's your closing so you can go, sir?
I love y'all, and just like my brothers, smoke him if you got him. Mwah! Good night.
All right. And Rome, any last words before? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I love y'all. That's it. That's all I had to say. I don't want to see no more. I don't want to see no more casualties. I want to see y'all fighting back. You know what I'm saying? Hand to hand, arm to arm, whatever it takes. Don't let anybody else die in vain. If one of them drop, if one of us drop, two of them drop. That's what I say, and I really believe that. If four of us drop, 8 of them drop. Believe that.
All right. Thank you, JB. Thank you, Rome. Shouting out the U.S. Palestinian Community Network. Forgot I was supposed to shout this out. So you two can leave if you can stick around and while I read this, or if you want to take off. I know you got to take off because I got to take off too.
Shout out to Palestinians. Love y'all.
Yeah, forgot I was supposed to read this. On Tuesday, November 29th, 2022, join the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, meaning more to support the national liberation of Palestinians on the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. There's 5 actions to take on Palestinian Day, November 29th. And the thread continues. Display a Palestinian flag or something visibly supporting our Palestinian people on your home or your community to see. Wear a kufufi, I always say that wrong, representing Palestinian resistance to work or school. Wear it all day. And number 3, organize a banner drop in your city. Message us for details. 4, Palestinians, wear something that represents your home village or highlight an interesting fact about your village online during the social media part. And then there's just other details that they have. The hashtag is #Palestinian Day. You can join there. Check them out. It's Tuesday, November 20th. Is an all-day thing just to show support. And the U.S. Palestinian Community Network was on RBN for the summit, so that's the reason why we wanted to make sure we shouted out their event. And that is going to be it, Rome. I think now I'm real tired. Like even my buzz has worn off. So, but we're gonna close out here. I got a nice closeout video I want to play. I mean, it's not like our audience hasn't seen it before, but it is a video that I like to play a lot. I haven't played it in a while. It's the George Carlin video. Where is it here? That's wrong. What is this when you were out in Jackson?
Yeah, that's before I went.
What was that? What was that? Let me see.
That's
let me just
my
hear
brother
what you're
had
saying right here.
My brother had died. I was saying that's
yeah.
That was way before I went to Jackson.
Oh, you don't want me to play it?
No.
Okay,
that's
yeah,
already done.
Yeah.
I'm already going to a different
all right,
state.
so yeah, I hear you. All right, so thank you for watching. Let's go ahead and close this out. Remember, you're gonna get us to 500. Rome, you're gonna donate to Rome. Rome is going out to Flint, so make sure you help Rome out to get there. This is the one I was gonna play earlier. I can't believe I had it in the bookmarks and not in my messenger, but this is Louis Farrakhan talking about the audacity of the United States they're not in a position to be any moral arbiter. So we'll leave you with the words of Louis Farrakhan talking about that.
Nigeria, which is, if not the most corrupt nation in Africa, and it is, it could be the most corrupt nation in the world, Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, now, Mr. Wallace.
It is the most corrupt nation that I have ever covered. I've been there 25 years ago, and I've been there as recently as last year.
Fine. So what? 35 years old. That's what that nation is. Now, here's America, 226 years old. You love democracy, but there in Africa, you're trying to force these people into a system of government that you just have accepted. 30 years ago, black folk got the right to vote. You're not in any moral position to tell anybody how corrupt they are. You should be quiet and let those of us who know our people go there and help them get out of that condition. But America should keep her mouth shut wherever there's a corrupt regime, as much hell as America has raised on the earth. No, I will not allow America or you, Mr. Wallace, to condemn them as the most corrupt nation on earth when you have spilled the blood of human beings. Has Nigeria dropped an atomic bomb and killed people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Have they killed off off millions of Native Americans? How dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet, because with that much blood on America's hands, you have no right to speak. I will speak because I don't have that blood on my hand. Yes, there's corruption there. Yes, there's mismanagement of resources. Yes, there is abuse. There's abuse in every nation on earth, including this one. So let's not play holy to moralize on them. Let's help them.
I'm not moralizing. I'm asking a question, and I got an answer.
Why would you put it as the most corrupt regime in the world? That doesn't make sense.
Can you think of one more corrupt?
Yeah, I'm living in one. I'm living in one. Yes, you've done a hell of a thing on this earth, so you should not be the one to talk. You should be quiet when it comes to moral condemnation, in my judgment.